Yo, it's your boy Marita Boy. I'm back up in this thing, man. Listen. We just ended a live and we just started another one. I told y'all, man, it's the hardest working man in show business. Listen, check this out, man. This next live that I do, I need y'all guys' help on this one here, man. I need y'all help on this one. Really, I really do. Um, I need y'all help on this one, man. Cause this is a big, big topic that's trending, that's going on in social media, and it's everybody's wondering what is going on with Terrence Howard. And if you don't know Terrence Howard, he's a great actor. He gave us so many great roles. He was in Iron Man. He was in Hustle and Flow. He was in Empire. He was in Get Rich or Die Trying. Man, Terrence Howard is definitely a great actor who has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We do not want to diminish Howard's accomplishments as a actor, but Terrence Howard is out here looking queasy, like my Haitian ex sister in law used to say, queasy. He out here looking queasy, y'all. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. But I want to really delve into whether Terrence is really crazy or are we just slow? You know what I mean? Because Terrence is very convincing. He's been going around for years, telling people about his scientific theories. He has a number of patents. He's went on numerous platforms telling everybody of his uh, theories and what he thinks really is going on with the universe, the cosmos, science, pseudoscience, religion, everything, man. And it's interesting. It's very interesting for someone who's such so accomplished as Terrence. Um, to talk about these things and also for us to to see someone saying these things. But the thing about it, it's not what he's saying, it's about the scientific community's response to what Terrence is saying. The scientific community is saying that everything that Terrence is saying is not true. It's not true. And we all know that science has said that things weren't true and it turned out to be true. You know what I mean? So that things weren't possible, they turned out to be possible. You know? So I want to delve into this because it is a big topic, man. And people are wondering, is Terrence crazy or are we slow? You know what I'm saying? Um, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a series of videos and we're gonna break them down and they're gonna walk you through what Terrence has been saying and it's gonna walk you through what science says. And I want you guys to help me to understand, is Terrence crazy? Because I'm telling you, they saying Terrence crazy, y'all. And I don't know. I'm scratching my head. I'm scratching my head. Part of me saying he crazy. Part of me saying he might have be on to something. It's like it's like a roller coaster of intellectual science. That's why I titled this "A Beautiful Mind." If y'all don't remember the movie Russell Crowe had, where he played one of the most brilliant people in the world, and he was crazy, but he was brilliant. You know, he was a scientist, but he was crazy. Like, so I don't know, man. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play y'all some of what people been saying. Listen, some people are harsh on Terrence. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to discredit their opinions on Terrence and just focus on the science and focus on what we can prove to see whether Terrence is crazy or he's just wrong or he's a genius, man. This is fucking this is fucking insane. Hit that like button on your way in.
If you don't know who Terrence Howard is, he's an actor. I'll be honest, I've never seen him act in anything. He was in a really popular TV show that I didn't watch, and I've never seen any of his movies. He might be a great actor, he might suck. I don't know, and I don't care. What's more important is his extracurricular activities as a delusional narcissist who thinks he's the smartest person in human history. I don't know exactly when he started showing the world his God complex, but it was way before the Rogan appearance, so let's go back just a bit. Here he is making a total fool of himself on the red carpet at the Emmys in 2019.
I've made some discoveries in my own personal life with the science that Pythagoras was searching for. I was able to open up the flower of life properly and find the real wave conjugations that we've been looking for 10,000 years. Why would I continue, walking on water for tips when I've got an entire generation to teach a whole new world?
That's a big remark.
Okay, let's break this down. The science that Pythagoras was searching for. Pythagoras was a philosopher and mathematician. The only things he did that could be considered part of the embryonic stages of science were ideas like the harmony of the spheres, where the planets moved according to the frequencies of musical notes, which of course was just baseless conjecture and whimsy, coincidentally Terry's two favorite things. He says he was able to open up the flower of life properly. That's this. The idea of opening this up doesn't mean anything. It's just 19 overlapping circles. If you pull them apart, you get 19 circles. Yes, it's nice and pretty looking. Shapes are neat. Real wave conjugations, meaningless. Conjugation is something you do to a verb in an inflected language according to tense, number, and person. Here's a conjugated Italian verb. In biology, the word is used to describe horizontal transfer of genetic material between bacteria. You can't conjugate a ham sandwich, and you can't conjugate a wave. 10,000 years is a random number that goes farther back than all of recorded history. He tosses out walking on water to foreshadow his blatant messiah complex, and he has absolutely nothing to teach even a small child, let alone an entire generation. That's a big remark, says the interviewer, clearly pretty desperate to get out of this ridiculous conversation without directly insulting him.
What do you intend to do?
Well, let me put it this way. All energy in the universe is expressed in motion. All motion is expressed in waves. All waves are curved. So where does the straight lines come from to make the platonic solids? There are no straight lines. So when I took the flower of life and opened it properly, I found a whole new wave conjugations that expose the in-between spaces. It's the thing that holds us all together.
Okay,
I didn't do too well in trigonometry. What is the
platonic solids?
How is energy expressed exactly? By motion? Whatever he could mean by that, he's wrong. For example, potential energy is the energy held by an object by virtue of its position in a field, like a gravitational or electromagnetic field. No motion, yet energy. Matter can be converted to energy. No motion required. No, not all motion is expressed in waves. The motion of a wave is a wave. Periodic motion can be expressed with a wave. Linear motion also exists. Hence, straight lines exist. What are platonic solids? That's these. Convex regular polyhedra in three-dimensional Euclidean space. Regular polyhedron means that all the sides are the exact same shape, that shape being a particular regular polygon, which means a two-dimensional shape with all the sides and angles being equal. There are 5 of them, and they were conceived of as hypothetical abstractions, just like everything else in geometry. And just for fun, if you take a simple cubic lattice structure for an ionic solid, you can get those straight lines he said don't exist. Again, he did not open any flower of life. He did not conjugate any waves. He doesn't specify what these spaces are and what they are between, or how they hold anything together. In short, it's pseudo-spiritual bullshit, and these anchors are justifiably laughing their asses off. Let's get one more tidbit.
I'm sharing that on Tuesday when I receive my star. I'm going to be able to prove that gravity is only an effect and not a force. I'm putting something on YouTube where I will build the planet Saturn without gravity and build the Milky Way galaxy without gravity.
Did you also say you're getting your star on Tuesday?
Yeah.
On the Walk of Fame?
On the Walk of Fame.
Interestingly enough, in the context of general relativity, you can argue that gravity is an effect and not a force. But it does not follow, then, that gravity isn't real. And it gets much worse from there. He's going to build Saturn and build the Milky Way galaxy. How exactly? Like in a simulation? That needs gravity. If he built a planet or a galaxy with his hands, I would worship him as the one true God. But something tells me that in reality, he's been watching some electric universe frauds on YouTube, and now he thinks he's smarter than Einstein.
And we've come to find that the universe, they are abandoning the standard model, the ideas of black holes and dark matter, for an electric model of the universe that is in response to the Birkeland currents and all these things. It's a better version, a better vision of how we should see the universe. That's how I see it, and I think it should be explored.
Bingo! Terry binged some Thunderbolts project videos and is repeating what he heard as though he thought of it. Then this woman tries to change the subject again, and he starts whining about not ever having been nominated for an Emmy. Anyway, this is the magnitude of nut job we are dealing with, but it gets much worse. Around that same time, Terence started yapping about his new form of math, which he dubbed, I shit you not, Teriology, and which included the startling new revelation that 1 times 1 is 2. Which prestigious mathematics journal did he select to announce this groundbreaking development? The View. Let's take a look.
And when I was at Oxford, now this is the point where 4 bubbles meet equally and oppositely. Yes, and it's where 12 planes meet. This is an undiscovered geometry that I'm now making known to the world here on this show.
Isn't that fantastic?
Well, when I was at Oxford, they were so upset because how can a man that didn't graduate from one of their prestigious schools come and tell them that the square root of 2 was a rational number? And I said, I didn't come to tell you guys this. I just came to prove to you that it's a rational number. And they didn't like it.
You heard right. Terence presented his bullshit at Oxford, and the smart people laughed at him. But why would they laugh at poor old Terry? Do you think the ladies of The View will be a more receptive audience?
Well, you have to remember, our entire world economy is based on 1 times 1 equaling 1.
Yeah, our entire economy is based on 1 times 1 equaling 1. Well, economics does involve numbers, so it should obey the basic logic surrounding numbers that even children can understand. So what's the problem?
So if you can prove that an action times an action equals a reaction, which science proved, then 1 times 1 must equal more than 1. And to have the physical proof of it, that kind of shakes things up a bit.
Well, you're a shaker-upper.
Wow, if you can prove that an action times an action equals a reaction. Okay, numbers are not actions. They're numbers. So that doesn't mean anything. An action times an action also doesn't mean anything because actions are not numbers. Also, no, 2 actions do not necessarily cause a reaction, no matter what he could possibly mean by reaction. If 2 forces are acting on an object that are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, the object won't move. 2 actions, no reaction. Sorry, Terry. But more importantly than demonstrating how everything he just said is bananas idiotic, let's review what multiplication is. Multiplication is an elementary arithmetic operation, which is essentially repeated addition. 1 times 4 literally means the number 1 4 times, and then you add them up. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. 1 times 3, write 1 3 times, add them up, you get 3. 1 times 2, 1 twice, 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 times 1 means you write 1 1 time. So it's 1. There's nothing to add. His revolutionary discovery is just him being dumber than a toddler. And toddlers do like to shake things, so this lady isn't wrong.
Well, you're a shaker-upper.
Let's be clear. There are only 2 possibilities.
The fuck? What the fuck is going on here?
Life without pretending that he's the smartest person in human history, or let's be honest, a god. I'm putting my money on the latter because I've seen this all before. Pick your favorite flat earther. This is their defense mechanism too. The smallest of minds can't face a world that doesn't recognize their self-proclaimed brilliance. So unleash a word salad, convince yourself it's science, and hope that nobody challenges you on it.
Everything inherently is dielectric because it has matter, and then it has a relationship within the medium, the universal background, the absolute frame of reference, the field of energy that is the ether. It receives energy from that.
These types of people enact the most impressive mental gymnastics imaginable to maintain their own ego, and the more I encounter it, the less I find it cute or entertaining. It's a disease that infects impressionable people and measurably worsens society. It's not something to simply laugh at, although we are going to laugh quite a bit more before I return to this thread in my conclusion. So as promised, let's dive into his very recent appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast. It's 3 hours long, so we aren't going to hit every moment. Rest assured, he was completely insane from top to bottom. But let's just go through some highlights.
My first memory was almost like when you're dreaming and you're falling and you hit the bottom and you wake up. That was my first memory, but I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb. And I was about maybe 6 months inside the womb.
He comes out hot in the first 30 seconds, claiming that he remembers being in his mother's womb. I'll remove the suspense for you. No, he didn't. That's physically impossible. Got any proof, Terry?
I remember all of that.
You remember coming out?
You remember being compressed. You remember being born. I remember being circumcised. I remember the whole nine. And the proof of it was when my wife, Mira, that you just met, when she was 6 months pregnant with my son, Kieran, I wanted to prove to her what I was talking about. So I put a light on her stomach every day at 6 o'clock at night. And I would move that light back and forth, and I put a song on for a week straight. First thing he wanted to do is see light. He loved lights from that early stage. And I can ask him the square root of 2, the square root of 5, the square root of that, the square root of pi, the square, and he will run it off.
So his proof of him remembering being born is a random anecdote about his wife's pregnancy, his kid liking light, and a lie about his son being able to do math that Terry himself can't do. But there's more.
And then when I was about 5 years old, I had another dream, and it was this mansion, and he would hand me these shapes, and each shape was different and amazing, and I had access to all the knowledge. The proof of it is the 97 patents that I have now. The proof of it is the industries that I've innovated.
Yes, the proof that he has access to all the universe's knowledge is that he has some patents, something that anybody can get for anything and proves absolutely nothing except that he likes to waste money. He's never innovated any industry. That's why he doesn't actually do anything except ramble like a lunatic on podcasts.
You know, I had the grand unified field equation. I had already put that together, and at 7, 8, I was working with these things, and then I went through all of the hell that I had to go through.
Yes, he had a grand unified field equation at 7 years old, but he wrote it down once and the dog ate it, and then he forgot what it was. That's why he didn't get the Nobel Prize for physics. Also, his girlfriend goes to another school. That's why you don't know her.
But my intention was to rebuild the periodic table, build a new periodic table, because the stuff I had learned in college, I went to school for chemical engineering the first year ever at Pratt. And they, at the time, I think it was like 108 elements. And I told the teacher, the professor, about the relationship between hydrogen on the spectrometer and carbon and silicon and cobalt. And it was like it's the same exact color, same tone, just doubled in each octave. And he was like, no, each element is the same element and it will always be that element. And I was like, you don't see the relationship. So I left school.
Did you leave school or did you flunk out because you kept writing cobalt is an octave of carbon on your exams instead of answering the questions?
And I was going to spend 40 years rebuilding the periodic table. And I found out that Walter Russell had already did that. And he did it based upon the natural curvature of everything.
Walter Russell, who was not a chemist, made this in the 1920s, and it doesn't mean anything. The chemical elements display periodicity. You can illustrate that periodicity in rows, or you can make spirals and other shapes. It's arbitrary, and listing elements this way doesn't offer any novel insight into chemistry or any predictive power whatsoever. Terry just likes the shape as much as he likes pretending to understand chemistry better than chemists, or 10th graders for that matter.
And when you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, you'll see hydrogen sitting all the way over there by itself, but they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as
What?
carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E, 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicon, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's, in that base, if you were to take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, their color, like you can turn color back into sound.
Joe wants to know what the hell he's talking about, and Terry is off to the races rambling about tones. Elements are not tones. They're not notes. They're not keys. They're not anything related to music whatsoever. They're atoms with a particular number of protons in the nucleus. He's throwing out random terminology and random numbers. Angle of incidence has to do with light. Sounds are not colors, and there's nothing more to say about this unparalleled gibberish.
You'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, carbon, silicon, cobalt, rhodium. They're all bonded. They're all sit as the middle point between two noble gases. So those things don't really exist. It's only one substance.
No, Terry, those elements exist. Hydrogen and carbon and silicon and cobalt and rhodium are different elements. They are not the same thing. Hydrogen gas is not the same as a hunk of coal, which is not the same as a sample of silicon, and so forth. They're just the halfway point of their respective periods, which is irrelevant.
Now, the problem is the first thing that we're able to perceive is hydrogen. That's the first visible element, because before it is too dense for us to perceive it. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
No. Oh, hydrogen is the first element because it's the element with one proton in its nucleus. Elements are defined by the number of protons in the nucleus, and hydrogen has one. That's the smallest positive integer. Of course, you're so insane that even something as trivial as one being the smallest positive integer can no longer be taken for granted in your illustrious presence.
But as you reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone, because the carbon has two tones to it. It has a negative side and a positive side. The part where lithium behaves, lithium is contractive. Beryllium is contractive. Boron is contractive. But the moment you get to carbon, you balance it out. It gets to a perfect balance of plus and minus 4. So it's a double tone.
Carbon is bisexual, you guys. Atoms have sexuality. Elements being contractive is also meaningless. Everything he is saying is meaningless.
And what they've tried to keep from us. If you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium. And oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium.
Ah, yes, the infamous they. What are they trying to keep from us now? You want to perform electrolysis on water? But how? Not electricity, heavens no. Use beryllium. But wait, not even beryllium itself, just the sound of beryllium. What's that sound again? Yep, that's what beryllium sounds like. Startling, no? I'm sorry that I made all the water in your body turn into hydrogen and oxygen gas and you're dead now. Elements don't have sounds, but even funnier than that, beryllium is the only alkaline earth metal that does not react with water. Every time he speaks, he's wrong in so many ways simultaneously that it's almost impressive.
The reason that arsenic kills us is because our DNA has nitrogen and it has phosphorus in it, because nitrogen unwinds into the next octave right after silicon and becomes phosphorus. Our DNA has both of those in there, but it's going by tone. So the moment arsenic, which sits as a -3 on the next octave, the moment arsenic is introduced, the body thinks that, oh, this is my thing that I need. And it tries to wrap itself around the arsenic, but it causes the DNA to unravel.
Wow, arsenic is harmful because it interferes with biochemical pathways. For example, it enacts allosteric inhibition of pyruvate dehydrogenase, which is an enzyme involved in aerobic respiration. That means it binds to the enzyme, in this case not specifically at the active site, and the interaction changes the shape of the enzyme just enough to render it incapable of carrying out its function. The cell can't make ATP, so it enacts apoptosis and dies. There are similar effects on other enzymes involved with signaling, DNA repair, and so forth. Virtually anything that's harmful to biological systems is harmful because of sophisticated interactions with the cellular machinery, which require knowledge of molecular biology to understand. No, DNA does not wrap around arsenic, nor does it unravel. Terry has no clue what DNA is, what it does, or literally anything about molecules in general.
But nature doesn't allow us to unravel that. But now, with the wave conjugations, we can. We couldn't do that before because we didn't know the angles of incidence that were necessary to open these things up. And you couldn't do that with the platonic solids because the platonic solids were averages and approximations.
It really is just breathtaking the way he throws together totally unrelated terminology with this much confidence. What does one even do with this? Wave conjugation, angle of incidence, platonic solids. These don't go together. It's like saying you need 6 hammer the ice cream to monkey of 11 dizzy. Your reaction to these two statements should be the same. And the platonic solids are specifically the opposites of averages and approximations. They are hypothetical idealized structures. Reality consists of approximations. Again, it's just breathtaking. It's legitimately challenging to come up with sentences that are as wrong as everything he says. It took me several minutes to write the monkey sentence because I kept wanting to write things like monkey of fire, which accidentally make more sense than I wanted. He has a gift for gibberish.
Because the universe is based off equanimity, which Einstein left out in his theory of relativity, the balancing side of the gravity was caused by electric force. Electricity is always seeking a higher pressure condition. It spins northeast, it's trying to get to the center of an area, the center of a cone. But the next electric wave is coming, so it gets pushed out, and as it's pushed out, it gets to the vortices.
Yeah, gravity is not electric. Matter specifically disperses from higher to lower pressure. You can't spin northeast, that's a cardinal direction. Center of an area can't mean center of a cone, since areas are 2-dimensional and a cone is 3-dimensional. And what is pushed out to what vortices? How does this guy do this? We are only 19 minutes in, and it's all like this.
That instead of following the natural curvature of these 64 circles overlapping, they averaged the space where they met. And they invented straight lines.
Why did they do that?
Because they believed that the world was flat.
The irony here is that figures like Pythagoras and Parmenides were the first people in recorded history to propose that the Earth is a sphere and substantiate it logically. But more importantly, the platonic solids are just derived from playing with polygons and making polyhedra. And even more importantly than that, none of this geometry has any correlation with any of the bullshit he's spewing about chemistry and physics. They're utterly separate realms. Then we get to the fancy animations.
This is hydrogen. And as I was saying, electricity is always trying to get to the center of that triangle, but it gets pushed out.
That's not hydrogen. It's not even a triangle. And where's the electricity exactly?
8 bubbles me. They gave me the patents to that. I called that the tetrahedron.
Don't worry, guys. He patented the shape. You can patent shapes now. I know the guy who has the patent on the rhombus. He's a billionaire.
Spheres that's going around this, but the greater attractor has grabbed the 2 weaker attractors. And this looks just like a photon, and guess what? It has 30 poles.
Yeah, it looks just like a photon. Massless, chargeless photons look like this dumb shape he made up because he says so.
This is where 12 bubbles meet, the Albrians. And then I put 5 of them together, and they make these natural starfish. But then when I put 10 of them together.
Hey, y'all, look. I'm respecting everybody's opinion because I ain't gonna tell y'all no lie. Honestly, on God, I don't fucking know. I really do not fucking know. Um, what the fuck is going on? I'm going. You know me. I'm gonna entertain. I'm gonna crack jokes, and I'm gonna I'm gonna say shit. You know what I mean? But realistically, look at Mike. He say, "I think he crazy." This my son, y'all. Hey, y'all give my son some show some love. My son in chat. He say, "I think he crazy," but he also did create the first uh patent for the first VR headset. So I don't know. He did do that. This is true. He did do this. He did do that. Listen, but I'm gonna say this, y'all. I don't know if the nigga crazy or not, dog. I'm fucking asking y'all for y'all help, man. That's why I proposed this topic because it's very interesting to me. Somebody who's as accomplished as Terrence Howard, you know what I mean. But I'm finna show y'all something, y'all. I'm finna show y'all something. I'm finna show y'all what this shit remind me of, dog. For real, real shit. Like real shit. Y'all just catch on. This what. Hey, pretty Crystal. This what this shit remind me of, dog.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jericho's activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
That's what this nigga doing, dog.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jericho's activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic.
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
Hey, that's what that shit remind me of, bro. Listen, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Shout out to Terrence Howard, man.
They lay themselves out and they predict all distribution of matter within the electric field.
Bro, that
Hey, he used the magic word, prediction. What do they predict? The distribution of matter what? Where? Show us a prediction, Terry. No? Back to gibberish?
One of the first things, but when Walter Russell came out with his book, and he introduced his periodic table, he watched as 2 different people went up and collected Nobel Prizes for deuterium, for tritium, for all these things that he had discovered. And I was like, okay, let me wait until the patents are granted before I'll talk about it.
Walter Russell wasn't a chemist. He was an artist, and he was delusional. That's why you worship him, Terry. People aren't awarded Nobel Prizes in chemistry for drawing pretty pictures. Urey got a Nobel for discovering deuterium because that actually matters. You just don't know what isotopes are, even though you use that word all the time.
It is funnier now, Anna Crystal. That's why I put it up there.
When he wrote his response to my paper, and he said, if you have any other questions, you're going to have to see somebody else, and he wouldn't take my calls anymore. I was like, okay. So I wrote the book based off of those responses, and I reached out to another guy, Dr. David Tong.
That would be very, very interesting that would be his take as a public educator, that he wouldn't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, Terry sent his ramblings to Neil deGrasse Tyson, since everyone who knows zero things about science assumes that Neil...
I want to say this too. Do you know Terence Howard currently right now is in a beef with this guy right here because he sent Neil deGrasse Tyson a 36-page hypothesis on a theory, and Neil deGrasse Tyson completely destroyed Terence Howard and told him that this is bullshit. None of this shit is true. All of this shit is bullshit. And right now, Terence Howard is beefing with this guy because when Terence Howard sent him his work, he completely read it and debunked every single thing Terence said. Now, I do have one issue though. It is hard to be wrong as much as they're claiming Terence is wrong. You know what I mean? Because he clearly has a knowledge of some of this shit. So I don't know. It's amazing to me how he could be wrong about everything. You get what I'm saying? Like everything? Like it's hard to be wrong about everything. This nigga wrong about 1 times 1 equals 2. Like what? He nigga say 1 times 1 equals 2. What? Like we know 1 times 1 equals 1, nigga. Like 1 plus 1 equals 2, nigga. That nigga said 1 times 1 is not 1. How? How can you win an Oscar? How can you have a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame? How? And you telling me that 1 times 1 is not 1? I don't understand it. I'm fucking lost. That's why I need y'all help, dog. This is interesting to me. That's why I need you guys help because Terrence confusing fucking me. And I ain't gonna even sit here and act like I know all this shit what he talking about. So that's why I called on you guys to help me because I'm fucking behooved, bewildered, befuddled.
Is the president of science, and Neil was gracious enough to explain to him how everything he says is wrong, probably more politely than I would. But Terry, the narcissist, presses forward, shocked that an intelligent, busy person wouldn't want to waste his time placating a toddler. Joe seems surprised, too, forgetting that educators enjoy educating people, not spending time and energy trying to show an insane person how insane they are. Why this fixation with Neil?
The reason I wanted to talk to him was because of his show, The Cosmos, that he was doing after that incredible guy, Carl Sagan did. The very first episode he had was talking about Giordano Bruno. And he said that Giordano Bruno was looking for that grand unified field equation. And maybe one day somebody is going to do it. And when they do it, it's going to change the world. And I'm like, dude, I've done it. I've got it here.
Giordano Bruno was not looking for a grand unified field equation. Quantum physics didn't exist in the 16th century. The concept of fields didn't exist in general. The term was coined by Faraday in the 19th century. This is the problem with science illiterate morons like Terry. They have no respect for science whatsoever. They have no interest in learning basic scientific principles, the history of science, what any scientist did, what scientists are doing now, how to do science. None of it. They are singularly obsessed with the lofty idea of one brilliant insight that can change the world. It doesn't matter what it's called. That's why he keeps saying grand unified field equation, because it doesn't mean anything to him. It's a fun phrase, nothing more. That's what everyone was trying to do since antiquity because he says so, and he's the one who's done it because he says so.
Walter Russell talked about the fact that the sun gave birth to the earth, that it didn't coalesce from some field. And the proof of this, do you guys know that the earth is drifting away from the sun? And all of the planets in every solar system is drifting away from their primary at this same exact rate, like 1.5 centimeters. So this is a universal expansion that's happening with everything moving away. So them saying the Webb telescope had proven that those galaxies couldn't have formed 13, 14 billion years ago. But if you would just add up linearly how long it would take the earth to go from the sun to 93 million miles away, it's 9 trillion. Let's go.
This is what I'm talking about. He can't be bothered to learn literally anything about astronomy. The expansion of the universe has nothing to do with the dynamics of an individual solar system. The sun did not give birth to the earth, as though our planet emerged from inside of a star. He knows nothing about planetary formation. And the idea that we have measured this for all other systems, how exactly would that work? We can detect an exoplanet's orbit increasing by a centimeter. How? But sure, play with your calculator that you already told us shouldn't be used because it lies about arithmetic.
Well, because I know they're watching me right now, and they're mad at me.
Who's that?
People that want that our entire world economy is based off of the politicians and the authorities that give the politicians their accreditation. And those authorities, those universities are all based, their entire curriculum is based off the Platonic solids. And our world economy is based off of 1 × 1 = 1.
You think they fuck with your phone?
Oh, I'm sure of it, because now I have to turn it off.
Look at the
You heard Joe Rogan? You heard Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan sitting on that bitch. Joe Rogan, listen, you know Joe Rogan smoke weed and shit, right? Joe Rogan want to file for blunt so goddamn bad, but he can't file now because if he filed one and Terence hit it, then people gonna just attribute to Terence talking crazy as smoking weed. You know what I mean? Oh, he's high. You know, when you motherfucker get high, they talk about the sun, the moon, the stars, the quasars. You know what I mean? So Joe Rogan in that bitch trapped. He can't even file no weed because if he filed weed, people gonna say, oh, Terence is just high up there. So he just stuck with the full motherfucking butterfly effect of what is goddamn Terrence Howard. Hey, listen, I gotta remind Joe Rogan say, so you think they fucking with your phone? What?
Our entire world economy is based off of the politicians and the authorities that give the politicians their accreditation. And those authorities, those universities are all based, their entire curriculum is based off the Platonic solids. And our world economy is based off of 1 × 1 = 1.
You think they fuck with your phone?
Oh, I'm sure of it, because now I have to turn it off.
Look at the level of paranoia beyond the simple delusions. The shadow government is watching Terry because he debunked the Platonic solids, which are the basis of every economics course in every Rockefeller Jesuit institution. I'm shocked that he's not a flat earther because this is exactly how they talk. But don't worry, he's an anti-vaxxer, obviously, and Joe is too.
You took a bold stand, though, years ago when the governments were trying to poison their citizens. You took a very bold stand that nobody else took. That's what I was like, wow, I appreciate you, because I lost 3, 4 jobs because I refused to take it. I refused.
I bet you feel better about it now.
Well,
especially when you know all these people that have health problems because of it.
Cancers has increased 300%.
Yeah. All-cause mortality up 40% in some age groups.
Pulmonary embolisms almost up like 500%.
Yeah, wonder what caused that.
No, none of those things are true. You heard them on the internet and believed them. But Terry has a little bit of biochemistry knowledge he wants to share.
I can walk you through what the spike protein did to the BRCA1 gene That's that gene inside of our DNA that tells us that there's damage that's happening, almost like the crews that go along the highway and they immediately put up cones every time there's a problem. Well, the spike protein, which is no protein has ever been able to enter into the nucleus of a cell. Not only does it go to the ribosomes and say, hey, you know what?
Oh shit. Bro, this is
I don't
amazing,
want you
bro.
to
This
produce
shit is
whatever
amazing.
protein, like if it's a skin cell. You're not going to produce keratin anymore. You're just going to produce these spike proteins. That spike protein went into the DNA and it tells the BRCA1 gene, turn off. And that's the gene that says, hey, there's a mutation here. Let's scrap that thing. And so now the cancers are building up.
The spike protein doesn't do anything to any gene. He doesn't know what genes are. Genes don't tell us things. They are instructions for protein assembly. That's why he goes to his pathetic analogy of something he saw on the highway, because he doesn't know how transcription and translation work. There is nothing unique about this spike protein, and he doesn't know what ribosomes do. They translate any mRNA transcript that binds. Making a spike protein doesn't render it incapable of producing other proteins. Spike proteins can't go into DNA. They can't tell a gene anything. They can't turn off genes. Genes don't detect mutations. The enzymes they code for are what do that. And he doesn't know what cancer is. This is really pathetic. Let's skip ahead.
So is he saying that just by doing these calculations, he created the exact form of Saturn, including the rings?
Just the exact form of it.
Just with the
So
calculations.
you change the angles of incidence that these linchpins, because remember, each one of these are opposing vortices. So there's 12 vortices to this that are opposing. So once the angles of incidence change, you change the motion and pressure conditions, you can now change the condition or the crystallization.
So he's pretending.
Hey, hold on, man. My bad, dog. I gotta do this again, dog. I gotta do this shit again, dog. I gotta do this shit a motherfucking again, dog. Yeah, goddamn it. I gotta do this shit again, goddamn it. Well, man. Right there. I gotta do it again, y'all. I gotta do it again.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jericho's activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic.
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
Hey, bro. Bro, I had to do it, bro. Let's go back. Let's go Terence, bro.
Explain planetary formation without gravity and without explaining literally anything about what he's doing. Click a button, the planet is there. What are the dots? Where did the matter come from? How did it arrange itself? Planetary formation is a process. This just materialized out of thin air. How? There are no vortices. Nothing is opposing. There is no angle of incidence. There is no crystallization. He is just listing random buzzwords.
Now, because we have the angles of incidence, material engineering can now separate the space between carbon and nitrogen or carbon and boron and have the same elements of titanium, vanadium, chromium, magnesium, and iron, or nickel, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium, or germanium in those higher octaves. We can do that between silicon and phosphorus or silicon and aluminum. So the transparent aluminum now becomes possible because we can now control the pressure and change the pressure and motion conditions where we couldn't do that before because they were going by Cartesian space at 90 degrees and 45 degrees straight lines, the Euclidean space that they've made up, this orthogonal or church-like space that they've generated because they wanted to promote that cross.
He doesn't even know the names of the elements. He's saying mangasane instead of manganese. He says silicone instead of silicon because he doesn't know that silicone is a different material. He can't pronounce orthogonal. He's never even heard these words spoken before, and he is doing nothing whatsoever to actually explain anything about what he just showed to Joe. He's practically speaking in tongues, and Joe is lapping it up. And as the cherry on top, he pretends that this brilliance was hidden because the Catholic Church loves the straight
Bro, I'm gonna say this. I have not found
Does he not know
one
how much
person
power this
who
symbol
says
still
that Terrence
has over
Howard
normal people even
is
today who would never
onto
fall for
something.
any of this bullshit?
Everybody
He
I
just
have
knows that
found, even
churching
Neil
up the
deGrasse
story
Tyson,
gives
who's a
it a
black
Da
man,
Vinci Code vibe that ensnares
said
gullible
that Terrence
people.
Howard
Can you
is
tell me
crazy.
how a planet is formed under this theory? So you have a sun, and how does the sun give birth to these planets?
The same way we defecate and have gas, like Jupiter's that red spot on Jupiter, that's spinning on it, that's going to become a moon. It may take a billion or 2 billion years. That will ultimately become a moon off of Jupiter. Where is it? Right at the equator. Where do we discharge at? Right at our equator.
90 minutes in, Joe finally asks him to actually explain something, and Terry's response is astounding. Stars crap out planets the way we take a dump on the toilet. Case closed, everyone. Planets are fecal matter. And the red spot on Jupiter will be a planet later. Of course, this is meaningless since it's a storm. It's a cyclone. How does a bunch of wind form a planet exactly? And he's just so objectively wrong about every trivial detail. The red spot is not at the equator. It's 22 degrees below the equator. Humans don't have equators to defecate from, and the human anus is not located on the waist. This is such a stunning example of the difference between real science and insane ramblings. Ask this question of an astrophysicist. You'll get mountains of data, explanations, equations, predictions, confirmations of those predictions through observation. Ask Terry, and what do you get? The sun takes a crap. The end. Who falls for this stuff?
Everything is just one great being. We're all God. That's what Jesus was talking about. That's what Buddha was talking about. It's recognizing the divinity in you.
Actually, neither of those people said anything like that. Buddha didn't proclaim to be divine, and in Christian mythology, Jesus didn't say, "I'm God and so are all of you." He just said that he was God. That's kind of why the Romans killed him. Terry is just looking for excuses to call himself God, and he's as dumb with theology as he is with science.
Here I'm an Oscar-nominated actor that is known all around the world, face recognition, vocal recognition, all around the world. I've invented a new form of flight, tangential flight, the ability to fly around your own center of mass, something they've never been able to do. And you don't hear anything about it.
The narcissism is oozing out of every pore of his body and congealing into little origami cranes in front of our eyes. He's world famous, kind of, so his imaginary invention must be brilliant. Tangential flight? Tangent to what? He doesn't know what a tangent is. And of course, his little toddler toy doesn't actually fly or do anything. He just has cute animations.
Instead of all the props having to turn themselves around to stop and turn in the opposite direction, they just switch the direction. They just so it's a collective pitch and it changes. And so now instead of going up, you're going down, but now 5 of them will come together. So I was trying to reach out to Elon Musk. I was trying to reach out to Jeff Bezos. Because my main goal was I was building these to clean up the upper atmosphere, all of that debris that's up there, and ultimately to mine the the asteroid belt.
You can immediately see that someone is clicking on a screen to trigger an animation, so it's anyone's guess as to why Elon Musk should care about this crappy video game. Terry is not only smarter than every physicist in history, but he's better at building spacecrafts than everyone alive, despite never having built anything. The hubris is off the charts. It's not worth listening to this entire rant, but he genuinely believes that he has invented revolutionary technology and that he's being ignored for literally no reason.
And so it's just going to react, and immediately it converts into a plasma. And so we can project anything into space. All of that has been accomplished, and it's ignored.
Delusional narcissists always have this precise brand of persecution complex. James Tour, Ben Davidson, they all do the same thing. All the experts are morons because they ignore my super brilliant revolutionary insights. The whole establishment is against me because they're afraid of my truth. Honestly, I think we've had enough. I got 2 hours into the 3-hour podcast, and there's just no point.
You know what I think Terrence's problem is? I think Terrence's problem is, or how we can get to the bottom of this is, he's doing a lot of talking. He's doing a lot of telling people his theories and things of that nature. I think if he can come up with some type of scientific experiments to prove his theories, I think that will go a long way. Um, You know what I'm saying? Instead of him just saying it, because it's easily for people to discredit him or debunk him if he's just talking. But if he can prove it by a scientific experiment, I think that'll go a long way. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. But other than that, he sound like he batshit crazy. That one times one equals it don't equal one shit. Fuck me up. Like nigga, you crazy as fuck. One times one is one nigga. I don't give a fuck what you talk about. One times one is one nigga. I don't care what you saying, nigga. Are you smarter than a fifth grader, nigga? A fifth grader knows one times one equals one nigga. I don't give a damn what you saying. Listen, you gotta understand this. If what you gotta think, we got cell phones, we got satellites, we got shit that's what they call it? We got the goddamn I forgot what the Voyager probes and shit that's all the way out there, motherfucking the middle of nowhere in space, nigga. We got the James Webb Telescope, nigga. We got goddamn cell phones, goddamn radio waves, all kind of shit, nigga. We got all kind of shit, nigga, that's working right now, nigga, because of the science and the math that these people done came up with over the centuries, dog. So some of this shit is correct, bro. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's more discoveries that's going to be made that need to be made, and for people, and so we're not just completely shunning people like Terrence Howard, but we do need you to be able to prove some of these theories. You know what I'm saying? Like even Einstein and all of these great people, Tesla and all of these people, scientists over time, they had to come up with scientific experiments in order to prove their theories. You know what I mean? And that's what you're gonna have to do, Terrence. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real.
Continuing. It's the epitome of
Other than
manic
that, you on Molly,
optimism
my nigga.
with virtually nothing to even sink your teeth into. And there's only so many times I can point out that what he's saying is meaningless. In the end, there's only one point that needs to be made. Pretentious tools like Terry can hope to fool as many people as they can by speaking confidently and using jargon they hope the listener doesn't understand.
And that's what I want to get at too. How he can get away with this is how many people, like normal people, actually know this shit, right? Like regular people. Not a lot. You may know one or two little things. Like I know one times one is one, but I cannot, you know, go back and forth with Terrence Howard on science because I'm not as versed in science as he is. I just know basic shit. So the only time how he's gonna be able to get this shit by people is the people that he's sitting down and talking in front of. A lot of them don't understand this shit either. So it sounds like smart shit. I've seen this a bunch of times, not to equate Terrence to a crackhead, but I've had conversations with crackheads or older people, that was crazy and shit like that. And if you don't know what the fuck they talking about, a lot of times they will pass off. They will they can pass off as very intelligent. You know what I mean? Like real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but really, you just don't know what the fuck they talk about, or you not educated on that subject enough to debunk them. Now, what he running into a roadblock is he's doing this shit on the internet, well, and he's popular. So you have real deal scientists that can come and debunk him. Like right now, he's enthralled in a beef with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Neil deGrasse Tyson has everything that Terrence Howard has sent Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson has debunked that shit clear as day. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody, it's not one person who has not debunked what Neil deGrasse, Terrence Howard has said. Like, and I want people to understand it. I don't think people picking on Terrence Howard. I think people just saying what they know to be the truth. You know what I'm saying? And does that mean that and shout out to my son Flyboy Mike Ofo. He said that Terrence Howard did develop the first VR headset. This is true. He did. All of these VR headsets that you use from all of these different companies, they are using Terrence Howard's patent for the VR headset. But I want you to understand something. You could get one thing right and get a bunch of shit wrong. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean you right on everything. You feel what I'm saying? Einstein was right on a couple things, but he was wrong on other shit. You see what I'm saying? That don't mean you ain't smart. That just means that you ain't right every time. And no, who is right every time? Nobody. You know what I'm saying? So just to add some nuance to his accomplishments, and also to add some nuance to what we think is going on here with Terrence. Now, my question is, is Terrence pulling our leg, or do Terrence believe this? You know what I'm saying? Do Terrence believe what he's saying, or is he pulling our leg? Shout out to Pretty Crystal. She said that Terrence is deep in character. He may be deep in character. That's what I wanted to entertain that theory. Like, is Terrence so deep into character? Um, his acting skills are fucking off the charts. You know what I mean? Because like, just imagine if this is a character that he's playing, and he's just been doing this for a long time. That's amazing. That's fucking amazing. No wonder he is an Oscar winner. You know what I'm saying? But if he really believes this, I think we gotta really just seriously think of, damn, Terrence might really seriously need some help, because if he continue down this path, listen, y'all talking to somebody who has had an older brother who has um eventually lost his mind. He passed earlier last year, but he did lose his mind. You know what I'm saying? And I watched him lose his mind over years. It was slow. It was a slow process, but it eventually did happen. He lost his mind, mental health. Um, it kind of reminds me of what's going on with Terrence, man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how you help if this is what's really going on with Terrence, because I really don't know what's going on with Terrence. But if that is what's going on with Terrence, how do you help that? He's successful. He's rich. He's definitely talented. Um, I hope that we don't get 10 more years down the line, and Terrence walking around in Central Park with a robe on, blowing bubbles. You know what I'm saying? Talking to himself, bro. I hope that's not what happens, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Can they do with it? What can they physically achieve with it? Terry thinks he's reinvented physics, but that's because he never learned any physics in the first place. Take this free body problem, for example. This is something he was supposed to learn in high school. You use Newton's laws, plug in some numbers, and you get an answer that correlates with reality. You can predict what will happen when you let go of the block. And guess what? When you let go of the block, that thing does happen. Terry's gibberish doesn't have that power. His ramblings have no utility, no predictive power, no technological application. It's a parlor trick. It's basic.
That's what I just said. He has to come up with a scientific experiment to prove what he's saying. Just like what Buddy just put on the screen. That's just what he's saying. You can make your mouth fried chicken. We got a saying in the South. You can make your mouth fried chicken. That means you can say any fucking thing. But if you can prove it by showing us it, then we may have something here. As long as it's not three card Monty, or three card, what they call it, 3 card Monty, or you know what I mean, one of them tricks.
Hypnotism. But as I mentioned before, it's not harmless. This way of thinking is dangerous, and these types of people are often dangerous. Do you want some evidence?
Because I was angry. I was really angry. And I was going to use all of the knowledge that I had, and I was going to destroy mankind.
Oh my God! Right out of Marvel.
I was like, yeah.
Oh, Joe smoking. Joe had to smoke him a blunt. Listen to this shit.
Statements like these are very revealing. It's not a joke. He genuinely believes he has this kind of power, and he has contemplated exercising it in a violent, destructive way. Do you know who else has had such thoughts and acted on them? Go and read the manifesto of the Unabomber. It's the exact same self.
Hey now. I ain't finna go this far, buddy. Matter of fact, I'm finna cut you off. God damn it. I ain't finna go this goddamn far. Now I ain't finna say my boy, goddamn, you know what I mean, the Unabomber. Now you ain't finna get me to go down that rabbit hole with you, buddy. We just talking about we ain't got that goddamn far yet. Now I ain't finna be doing that. I'm not finna cast them type of aspersions on Terrence Howard. Hell no, I ain't finna do that. No, we ain't finna do that to my boy. We ain't finna do that to DJ. We ain't finna do that. You know it's hard out here for a pimp when it's trying to get that money for the rent. No, we not finna do that, my nigga. We not finna do that. What we finna do is we finna do this.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumvent, circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jericho's activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic.
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
Hey man, I'm done with it, man. I'm gonna end this live, man. Hey, look, man. If y'all feel strongly about whether Terrence Howard is crazy or is a genius, please jump in the chat or the comment section and let me know your opinions on it. Listen, I'm still on the fence. I think he might be on Molly. You know what I'm saying? And or he might be deep into a role like Pretty Crystal say, or he may really believe this. I'm on the fence, man. I cracked a couple jokes, but I don't know what the hell is going on. Honestly, I don't. That's why I brought this to y'all so y'all could help me to make an opinion on what I think is going on with Terrence. But I do want us to keep an eye on Terrence going forward. You know what I mean? I wanted to bring this to you guys awareness. I don't know how many of you guys was aware of what was going on with Terrence, because I just came aware of it. You know what I mean? But I do want you guys to pay attention to Terrence going forward. Now you guys is if we have to revisit this topic going in the future, we'll all be on the same page as to what's been happening with Terrence. Man, I want to give a shout out to Keon Williams, a shout out to Scuba Cat. Um, Shout out to Pretty Crystal Clear. Appreciate you for all your wonderful comments. Shout out to Flyboy Michael 4. That's my son, y'all. I'm glad he jumped in the chat and shared his opinion. You know what I mean? Shout out to Robert Denman. Appreciate you. He said, "Keep creating, Terrence. You'll find what you're looking for." That's possible. For real, for real. I ain't listen. I'm not. I don't know everything. So shout out to Terrence, and we're gonna figure out, we're gonna see as this thing go forward. Shout out to Matt 757. I appreciate y'all. Listen, do me a favor, y'all. Hit that like button and please donate to the channel. We got a $20 goal. You know what I mean? So the Cash App is on the screen. Um, It's right there on the screen. Please donate to the channel. I'm not getting paid off YouTube currently at this time. But so all the money that I do get paid be off of you guys donations, and I appreciate y'all. It don't matter what y'all donate. I appreciate it, man, because it's out the kindness of your heart, man. So I appreciate y'all. Shout out to all my moderators. Shout out to Flyboy Michael 4. Shout out to Nephew for real. Shout out to Chicks 1000, aka the Chick 1K. Shout out to TN Bones. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Nay Said It. Shout out to Deputy Eula. Shout out to Audio Crack 22. Shout out to Drace 6100. Shout out to Silk Foster Jr. Shout out to SLK, Some Like Cloud TV. Yo, Inglewood. Shout out to FL Traffic. Shout out to Look Care Truth Movement. Go subscribe to Look Care Truth Movement channel. Shout out to Slime Life Max. Shout out to Denise. Shout out to Kenny, Haley, Megan. Shout out to Dream Doll. Shout out to Trigger Man. Tell her goddamn me it's gonna be alright. Ho, go subscribe to this channel, man. I appreciate y'all. Like, share, comment to this video. Please donate to the channel. The Cash App is on the stream, man. And jump in the comment section when you see this video and let me know what you guys' opinion is on what's going on with Terrence Howard, man. He's a very accomplished actor, very intelligent person. Let me know what y'all opinion is, man, because this thing is kind of confusing to me, and I promise you, I might have cracked a little jokes, but I promise you, I do not know what's going on. That's why I brought this content, this topic to you guys, because I need you guys' help. Thank you.